Hi, and welcome to Brainstorm Changemakers by Timo. In this series, we're talking to experts, activists, and movers who are shaking things up in the neurodivergent space. My name is Bo, my pronouns are they, them, and I'm the inclusion and belonging lead at Timo, a Danish neuroinclusion company that gives folks the planning power to take charge of their daily lives. Today, we're joined by actress and advocate Delvene Pitt, the founder of Little Crowns Storyhouse, an award-winning puppetry company. Delvene's journey in the arts and her advocacy have made her a trailblazer in the field. She uses puppetry to educate children on history and science, and I'm so excited for her to share more about her work with us today. So, hi Delvene, we are so happy to have you on our little interview series.
Yay.
Really excited to be chatting about your work today. So, to start us off, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
So my name's Delvene. I'm a creative entrepreneur and a puppeteer and an actress and a digital creator. And I'm the creator of a puppetry company called Little Crowns Storyhouse. In fact, it's not only puppetry. We use the platform to celebrate inclusive and diverse content for children aged, say, 0 to 10, basically. So I'm a complete multifaceted creative, and that's probably the best way to describe me.
Lovely. The multifaceted background. It's I always find it so hard, especially when you're are passionate about a lot of things, to summarize everything that you do. So this is very gorgeous, even without the friends around to summarize for you.
Thank you. I did it.
I'm also wondering, how did you discover that you're neurodivergent? What was that path like?
Sure. So I've always known that I was really different from kind of growing up. When I was a child, I had selective mute. So I just really struggled to communicate what I needed. And one of my earliest memories is I remember I was in nursery and I knew the answer to the question and the words just couldn't come out. And anyone who looked after me as a child would always express that you just were so to yourself in your own world, in a daydream, and you were just always very different. But with me, because I think I started to develop confidence, I became quite a sociable person, and I was able to make friends. So a lot of my neurodivergence that I had, qualities that I had in the past were overlooked, and I was masking because I was kind of masking it with being really sociable and really friendly. But then that difference was still kind of hanging over me like a cloud. And then when I got into college and university, I was studying the thing I wanted to study. So I was okay. But my friend mentioned, do you think you have ADHD? And I was like, no, I'm not one of those little boys running around in class. I never get in trouble. And it was like, no, I know someone who has ADHD and you have very similar qualities. And I was like, okay, whatever. So when I graduated, I got my first job, and I lasted 6 months before getting fired. And now I look back into it, they were basically saying ADHD symptoms like not coming to work on time, being in my own world. And I remember him saying, you're just really happy, and I was like, you're firing me for being happy? And I realized it's probably just he was just trying to describe ADHD without understanding what it was. Then I went to drama school, struggled the whole entire time in drama school. I went to drama school in New York, by the way, so that was just another thing. I was in a new country, new environment, and I was just really struggling. Came back from drama school, got a job, and then I got fired again. And by this time, I didn't mention I got fired as well before going to drama school. So this was the third time I had been fired from a job, by all describing similar things about me not being able to concentrate, me turning up to work late. And the difference is I was actually really trying. So I said, there's something not right. There's something going on in my brain that I'm struggling a lot. And that's why I decided to get my diagnosis. And that's when I discovered that I do have ADHD. It used to be described as ADD, as you know. So it's more internal, what I struggle with. And also as an actress, I struggle to read scripts as well. And I need additional help. So I also discovered that I have both ADHD and dyslexia. So it's just double struggle. So it's been a whole journey. But yeah, that's my story in brief, I think.
In brief,
Yeah.
how do you think your experience kind of reflects the broader experience of Black neurodivergent folks with, finding out maybe late that you're diagnosed and all that?
Yeah, I don't think growing up, I think it added an extra layer, or it has always added an extra layer. Not only am I Black, not only am I a woman, but I'm also neurodivergent too. And I remember getting all sorts of labels growing up as well. Things like intimidating, which I'm like, I am not intimidating, really, guys. But it's just hearing those labels, but also on the neurodivergent side, hearing the words lazy, you can't do it. And those are the things that I've been hearing my whole life. And then, as I said, being a Black woman on top of that, it really, really shrunk my self-esteem. I would go into buildings and still to this day feel really unsure about what I'm capable of. And also being in the Black community, it's not really spoken about. There's so many kids that I knew that grew up neurodivergent, but they just didn't know that you heard the thing of like, you just pray out of them. That's not really a thing. It's just a label. So I think it really does add an extra layer to the struggle. And it's something that should be talked about even more. And that's what I try to advocate for as well.
Yeah, I can kind of see the red thread to how you dreamt up Little Crowns Storyhouse and creating those resources for kids now. Yes. What has the process kind of accepting and celebrating your neurodivergence looked like for you?
So it's been great. It's almost been like coming out. I remember like when I first got the diagnosis and I called all my friends, I was like, guys, I have ADHD. And they're like, okay. but I kind of told them what it means. And I remember talking to my mum about it, and I showed her all of the symptoms, and she was like, yeah, that does actually sound like you. And I was like, yeah, see, I told you. But it's also just making sure that I'm an advocate for it and talking to other people about ADHD and talking to people about the struggles I'm going through. And since then, I've had so many people reach out to me saying that, my son is also struggling with this, my daughter's struggling with this. And one message that I got a few months ago, which was so moving for me, was a lady said that, my daughter has ADHD and I send her your videos to inspire her because I'm telling her that she can do it and it's okay. Look, Delvene's doing it and I know that you can. And then just hearing stories like that, where all I'm doing is, living and just trying, but I'm still inspiring somebody, and it's really moving when I do hear that too.
Yes. A neurodivergent role model. Very much. Yeah, I wish I had those as a kid, so I'm glad you can be that for folks.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
And what was your introduction to the performing arts and storytelling? Do you have kind of any early memories of engaging with the performing arts that inspired you?
Do you know what? As I said, because I was so shy growing up, I think people that knew me as a child are probably like, you're an actress? Really? I wouldn't have put that in your category, but okay. But me thinking about my upbringing, it actually makes sense. So I grew up in a kind of Pentecostal church. My granddad was a bishop and my dad was a gospel singer, and my mum was a primary school teacher. So my dad being a singer, we had to go to choir practice, and just seeing him constantly perform everywhere was just a big part of our lives. And going to concerts was a massive part of our lives as well. And my mum, because she was a primary school teacher, she was like, we need to do something during the holidays. So she used to take us to the theatre all the time, Christmas, over the summer. So I didn't realise, it's only now I look back, those things were being planted in me. And I remember going to the theatre and sitting in the theatre thinking, oh, I really, really want to do that. I really, really want to be on stage. And then obviously on a Sunday, it was a show in itself, hearing the songs, the dances. We used to do massive Christmas shows as well. So I think I was always exposed to the performing arts, but in a completely different way. I would say in more of a cultural way. And that's what kind of sparked, like, I actually kind of I want to be a performer. Yeah. And then seeing my dad also, my dad was a was an actor. He was in Jesus Christ Superstar growing up as well. So all of those things, it was probably from him a lot, and a lot of that inspiration from him that kind of was planted in me. And then when I came to the age where I realized that I wanted to be an actress, I think it's because of that background that I kind of pursued it in the end.
I love that, the family ties.
Yeah.
And then, how does your neurodivergence kind of impact the way you express yourself creatively? And how has your unmasking process kind of factored into that?
In so many ways, if I'm being really honest as well, when I spoke about my story about me getting fired loads of time, it always pushed me to do what I want to do. So, for example, when I lost my job as a runner for a production company, I was like, right now I want to be an actress. So I went and was an actress. And then I got fired and I was like, okay, well, I need to go drama school now because I've just been fired. So I'm going to go to drama school. And then when I came back from drama school, and again, I got fired, and I was like, well, now I need to set up my business, and I'm going to set up Little Crowns Storyhouse. So in a weird way, it's just pushed me to do whatever my brain wants me to do, and I've just kind of gone for it and listened to what it's saying, and it's not been easy. It's been very, very hard, but it's just kind of pushed me to explore my creativity as well, because I've been forced to do it. And I think it's really clear that those environments were environments that I just wasn't supposed to be in. And I was trying to fit into this normal world and really masking and just faking it, when my brain was like, no, you're a creative, create stories and do what you want to do, what your heart's set to do. And this is just your sign to just keep creating and keep being you. Also, I would say it shaped me because I've picked up so many skills along the way, because I am neurodivergent and ADHD, kind of like, oh, I can learn a new skill in this, or I can maybe start doing this. I realized that I'm able to just kind of adapt in certain situations because I've been there before, or I've done it before, or I've done a course randomly in, I don't know, digital arts or something like that. And I'm like, oh yeah, I can create a digital 3D video because I've studied it before. So there's so many there's so many random things that I've just managed to do. And I think it's because of my neurodiversity that it's just been like, yeah, I can do that, guys. It's fine. And I'm able to adapt to certain situations that nothing really scares me when it comes to creativity, really.
Yes, extra helpful when you run and own a business, for sure.
Yeah,
because you kind of have to be good at everything.
Yeah, and it's especially with lockdown as well. I remember because my business was first a toddler group, and then it ran into lockdown happened, and it all just kind of went online. And I was like, well, I can edit videos, guys. I studied production, so that's fine. And it was just a really easy adaptation, because it was like, yeah, and it was like, you can edit. Yeah,
I can do it all.
I can do it all. And if I don't, I'll learn. I'll do a course.
Yes. And what drew you into the niche of figure theater and puppeteering?
So as I mentioned before, I grew up in my church. It was like my second home in a way. And every Christmas they would do a big Christmas performance where all your family and friends can come and watch. And then the lady who was running the session, she made a puppet, and she said, okay, I'm going to pick a few people to do the puppets and a few people to do dance. And she picked me to do a dance as well, to do puppetry and dance. And I was like, okay, this seems cool. So her name is Sister Shirley. She was absolutely amazing. And she said now that when she gave me the puppet, I managed to kind of bring it to life. So she chose me every single year to do puppetry for the Christmas shows. And I was known then as the puppet girl sort of thing. And obviously drama school happened, production film school happened as well. And then when I came back from drama school, I realized that maybe I should go back to what I was doing originally as a teen and get back into puppetry. So I made an Anansi puppet, and I started telling stories to children. And I thought to myself, okay, maybe this is what's going to be my thing. Maybe I should go back to what I was doing as a child and be the puppet girl again. And this could kind of be my new thing. And I mentioned this recently, but Sister Shirley is overjoyed that, you know, she gave me a puppet when I was 14 just because she thought maybe you can do that. Everyone loved it, and she didn't realize that sparked something in me that has now turned into my career. So yeah, everyone's really, really happy to see that I'm still actually using puppets in a way.
Go, Sister Shirley.
I know.
Tell us a bit more about your first puppet.
Yeah, so it was definitely that one. I think her name was Esmeralda. And she was green and had orange hair. And she was a Muppet style puppet as well. And yeah, I really studied her, studied how to use her movements, her mouth movements. And because we were singing along to gospel songs, some of them were really quickly and fast and stuff like that. And I just made sure that she was really coming to life and animated too. But yeah, she was a great character. And she was my main character throughout the years as well, Esmeralda puppet. And she was very colorful, very lively too. And I was just completely fell in love with her. And on the back of that, Sister Shirley took me to like loads of different puppetry conventions and stuff like that, where I got to play with and meet other puppets and puppeteers who were very kind of like-minded as well. And till this day, that puppet company, that festival that I went to, I still work with them till this day as well. They help me make a lot of my puppets now. So it was completely random because I didn't realize it was the same until I looked at their logo and I was like, I kind of recognize this logo. Did you guys do this back in the early 2000s? And I'm like, yeah, that was us. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, yeah. So it's all kind of come around full circle, definitely.
I want to go to a puppet festival. That sounds amazing.
Yeah. I think there's one coming up like in 2 weeks' time, actually. I think in where is it? Not Reading. I think the one I went to was in Reading, but I think it's in Rugby. That's it. I knew it began with R. So yeah, it's really fun. Yeah.
And then in the work that you do, how do you advocate for yourself and your support needs when collaborating with folks or when partnering with companies like Timo, for example? How do you make sure your needs are met?
It's really hard. I'm not going to pretend. And the reason why it's so hard is because sometimes I get embarrassed because I'm like, I'm a full adult and I'm struggling to read a sentence, or I'm struggling with when I'm on an acting job, I'm like, I'm struggling to read the page. And then I'm looking at my fellow colleagues and they're just like flowing with it. So to kind of be the bigger person and to step out of that discomfort and to say, hey, I'm struggling with this. Can I possibly get this printed on yellow paper? Because that makes a massive difference to me. And just being open with communication has absolutely made a huge difference. And in a way, it gains even more respect and an understanding too. And it's actually okay to communicate your needs because people really, really understand. And a lot of the time as well, I think I found that when I do communicate, the director or the boss or manager will be like, oh, you know what? I struggle with that too. Maybe that will help me. And you realize that you're actually helping each other. And another point about helping each other is that, communicating your needs, you're not only helping yourself, but you're also helping your manager understand you even more. So it's just about making sure you understand what you need. Because sometimes they're like, what do you need? I'm like, I actually don't know. But I know what I struggle with. So I just try from the jump to be really, really open. And you don't know who you're inspiring and who you're going to help in the long run. So yeah, that's generally what I go for.
Yes, I love that. Just normalizing that we all have support needs. Big yes to that.
Yeah.
And then with Little Crowns Storyhouse, how do you decide what topics to focus on, and how are these topics informed by your own lived experience?
Yeah, so I always try to talk about diverse and inclusive topics, whether that's my own experience via talking about my history, Black British history. And the reason why I came to making sure that I'm speaking specifically about Black British history is because that's the history that I understand. A lot of the time, Black History Month comes, which is now, and people firstly go to, oh, we're going to talk about Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks. Well, absolutely amazing. But what about Black British history? That's very American. So I just wanted to make sure that my history was spoken about. So that's when I decided to go ahead and write a song about the Windrush, because that's when my grandparents came over here during the Windrush season. But then I was also like, okay, who are the other Black British heroes we can speak about? So I decided to write about Claudia Jones, who started Carnival, because there's Carnival every year. Some people don't know the history of it. So why not write a song about it, you know? And Olaura Equiano, who was a past slave who became a writer and helped to abolish slavery in the lands. And lots of people don't know about him. So it's just like, okay, I need to express and to teach children or even adults about Black British history, or history that actually speaks to me. And it's not only that, because I'm trying to broaden my reach as well, and speak to the world, I try to get an understanding from all sorts of kids from all different backgrounds. So, for example, I look after a child who is Jewish, and she was like, everything around me is about Christmas. We don't celebrate Christmas. So I was like, she was like, yeah, but there's Christmas everywhere. And I was like, okay. So I decided to write a song and put out some content based on Hanukkah. And I got her to voice it as well, because she got to speak about Hanukkah and how she celebrates and what she does every year. And then I wrote a song called Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, to try to get people to understand the different holidays that happen during that time of year. It's not just about Christmas. Christmas is amazing, but it's not everyone celebrates it. So it's just to making sure that all the holidays were included as well. So it's not only that, but also Diwali, Eid, Chinese New Year. So try to kind of get kids that celebrate all sorts of holidays to feel included in my content as well.
I love that so much. Yes.
Thanks. Thanks. Yeah.
I grew up in the Middle East, so there's, even like living in the Middle East, there was still such a focus on Christmas, even though I was living in a country where most folks were Muslim. So I was always like, what is that? Like,
so interesting. Yeah, like, I mean, not everyone celebrates Christmas, did you know? So yeah. Really interesting.
Weird, fun little fact. Yeah.
Exactly. Wow.
And then what strategies do you use to make historical and like scientific concepts that can be really complex to understand accessible for young learners?
Yeah, so I work with, I started writing the songs by myself by just kind of looking up. But my mum, I think I mentioned that she was a primary school teacher, and she specialized in teaching children from kind of infant age. So whenever I would write a song or create something, I'd always send it to my mum and be like, Mum, can we make sure that this is okay for the age group that we're talking about? And how can we make some changes to make sure that it's actually that we're actually using the correct language? So it's very much my mum, who has been a teacher for 30 years, and she's like, and probably my biggest critic as well. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't say that. And then sometimes I'll be filming with her. She'll be like, no, pause. No, none of that. So, but it's so helpful to just have her there to help me throughout the content and making sure that I am educating, not just kind of entertaining, which I was trained in entertainment, but making sure that the education side of it is definitely seen. And I also work with another educational consultant called Rachel Beckles, who helps me with the writing as well. And because she works with younger kids, we try to make sure that all of it is explained in a young language, because it's so complex. Talking about slavery to 3 to 4 year olds, it's really hard. But yeah, it's just making sure that the language is appropriate for that age group. And then you get those really annoying people on Twitter who are, it's not for them, and they'll be like, you missed out the part when Olaura, and I'm like, guys, We're not going to include every single thing. Like, we're going to include as much as we can that's appropriate for a 4-year-old, but we're not going to include some like the gruesome stuff. Like, come on. Like, yeah. It's been so funny seeing their tweets, and I'm like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, it would all, I mean, most kids would also probably like stop paying attention after the 10th minute or something. So like
exactly. And their complaints and their tweets, and I'm just like, I just ignore it, to be honest with you, because I know who my target audience is. Yeah.
What's been some of the feedback from your target audience, kids and parents and caretakers?
Great. So it's always just so interesting hearing that, you know, my content is played in quite a lot of schools. So I got a message, an email from Tunisia saying that, oh, we played your content in our class in Tunisia. And I'm like, Tunisia? Like, what? So it's just always been amazingly positive. And another girl that I look after, she said, oh, my friend played you in his class today. And I was like, what? And they're like, yeah, we played your song. And I constantly hear like children saying, oh, we played your song in class. We played your song here. So hearing that it's being used by the right people, because the target audience is teachers, educators, and parents, and just hearing that they're playing the videos to help the children and to educate them in a fun and inclusive way, it's just been absolutely amazing to hear.
I love that so much. I wish I had these resources as a kid.
Yeah, same. It was nothing, absolutely nothing.
But so cool that you're dreaming them up for the next generations.
Yeah.
And then, you know, as we close out, what's next for you? Is there anything that you're working on that you're extra excited about?
Yes. So being neurodivergent myself and talking about how I grew up and not having access or an understanding to the arts, I thought there are definitely children out there who have an interest in the arts, want to get into the arts, but don't know how to get in. So basically I'm starting my company, a storytelling company specifically for neurodivergent and SEND children, called Tale Tellers. And it's just launched. We've just registered. So it's really, really, really new. But I've started it, and I'm really excited because the launch will probably be in 2024. And we're going to start with some puppetry classes and shows and stuff like that for specifically neurodivergent children. So excited about that. Yeah.
That's incredible. Oh my gosh. I can't wait to follow.
Yes. I'll send you all the links because it's only got about 20 followers right now on Instagram. So
send them. Absolutely. Yeah. Amazing. And how can folks stay up to date on all of your work? Where can they find you?
Yeah. So my Instagram is it's just Delvene, @Delvene. I was very lucky.
So iconic.
I know. I was like very lucky. I joined Instagram when it was just like opening, and my friend was like, "What's this Instagram thing?" And I was like, sure, I'll just join whatever, Delvene. Now it's like, okay, I can never change my name. So yeah, my Instagram is just Delvene. And my TikTok as well, I'm quite active on there. It's Delvene P, so the letter P. And also my company, Little Crowns Storyhouse. So my website is littlecrowns.co.uk and the Instagram is littlecrowns.storyhouse. But feel free to drop a message, an email, and I'm very active on social media, so I'll always reply.
Amazing. Delvene, this was so sweet. I'm so happy we had the chance to chat. Thank you so much. And
thank you.
Yeah, that's a wrap for today, folks. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, feedback, or you know who we should interview next, give us a shout. We're at Timo App on all social media. You can also email us at community@timo.dk. We would love to hear from you. And if you have a second to just like, subscribe, comment, share these interviews, it would mean the world to us, and it would mean that we can keep producing this interview series. So thanks so much, and until next time, bye.